of Independence, for me, is one of the best pieces of writing I've ever seen.
It's a revolutionary document for a revolutionary statement.
You cannot help but be stirred when you read those words.
The Declaration of Independence declares that all men have unalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken away, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence is made up of the preamble, the list of grievances to King George III, and justification for rebellion. This document proclaims America as free, but this freedom was only given to a select group of people. Women were not a part of the selected group of people. They were excluded from politics, property ownership, and were neglected basic human rights under the law. Women began marching and fighting for their rightful rights, but the fight lasted decades. It took Black women even longer to get their own rights. On July 19, 1848, Elizabeth Cady Stanton gathered at the Seneca Falls Convention where the Declaration of Sentiments was signed and publicized. The Declaration of Sentiments had similar words to the Declaration of Independence, such as "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal." In the Declaration of Independence, only men were mentioned. Grievances in the Declaration of Sentiments mirrored the grievances in the Declaration of Independence. However, instead of it being used against tyranny, the grievances in the Declaration of Sentiments is how men established tyranny over women.
Traveled to Washington, D.C. to participate in the march. Paul, working with Mary Church Terrell, allowed African American women to participate, but they had to march in the back of the parade. Prominent leaders like Ida B. Wells didn't agree with this decision. While she started in the back with the rest of the Black women, she ran to the front once the parade began to join the women in her state's delegation.
The 13th Amendment made slavery illegal, granting Black women the rightful control over their labor and bodies. The 14th Amendment provided citizenship to anyone born in the United States and was the first time gender male appeared in the Constitution. Whereas the Declaration of Independence already had an inclusion of the male gender by stating, quote, "all men were created equal," end quote. Elizabeth Cady Stanton commented, quote, "if that word male be inserted, it will take us a century at least to get it out," end quote. She knew how hard the fight would be, yet continued and persevered through all the challenges that they faced. Women organizing, petitioning, picketing, and going on hunger strikes caused an uproar, and people became involved in the events. The women's suffrage movement led to many women being imprisoned and brutally beaten while imprisoned. However, those sacrifices weren't in vain, as many states began passing women's suffrage legislation, and the movement gained President Woodrow Wilson's support. He supported a constitutional amendment, the 19th Amendment. In 1918, that would allow women the right to vote. Unfortunately, not all women were given the right to vote. Black women were prohibited due to discriminatory state laws. Division among women was seen during the parades white women organized. Ida B. Wells and other Black suffragists were forced to walk behind the rest of the women and not among them. Mrs. Wells disliked that separation and forced her way to the front among those white women. Even so, Black women's contributions were erased and overlooked at this moment. The National Council of Colored Women, founded in 1935, became the backbone of Black women's voting rights campaigns. And it wasn't until 1965, when the Voting Rights Act was signed, did Black women secure their right to vote.
Ida B. Wells, she sort of like embodies everything that the suffrage movement was about, everything that rights for women and specifically about Black women were about. I mean, this is a woman who came from adversity. She lost her parents at a young age. She helped raise her siblings, but she was able to get herself educated and to make a big impact on the rights for not just Black women, but women in general, and for Black people in general.
To get the signing of the Voting Rights Act, many Black women suffragists had to face and overcome hardships that created outcry and helped push the act. Fannie Lou Hamer had registered to vote, but was instead met with a threat. Her white plantation owner threatened to kick her and her family out if she didn't withdraw her registration. Fannie Lou Hamer was placed in the Winona jail, where she was beaten or being interrogated about her registration and sustained permanent injuries, such as a damaged kidney and a blood clot behind her eye. Still, Hamer stayed dedicated to the cause and gave a speech that caused public outcry and set in motion the Voting Rights Act. Another suffragist was Mamie Till Mobley. Her son was brutally and unfairly beaten. She was forbidden from holding an open casket funeral, but did so for others to see how disfigured they left her son, to show the injustice. Pictures were published in black magazines, bringing further attention to the movement. While white men have never had the misfortune to fight for their right to vote, still, today the Constitution does not fully prohibit discrimination based on sex. There are no strict legal rules for it like there is for race and religion. Something that would fix this problem would be the Equal Rights Amendment, often called the 28th Amendment. Stated in Section 1 is, "Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or bribed by the United States or by any state on account of sex." Its passage would mark another step toward fulfilling the Declaration's promise. The Declaration of Independence began as a statement of rebellion. Over time, women transformed it into a demand for inclusion. The right for suffrage and equality shows that independence was not a single moment in 1776, but an ongoing struggle to make those unalienable rights truly apply to all.